Good day, and welcome to Clothesline Math in the Classroom, where I show you how I use the clothesline in my own math classes here at Chaparral High School. My name is Chris Shore of the Math Projects Journal, and I'd like to show you today how I introduced the clothesline for the very first time to my algebra freshmen first week of school. What I'd like to show you here is how we set this up. There's lots of ways to do the clothesline. I found these the other day. This is awesome. Magnetic hooks from Home Depot that, if you have the magnetic whiteboards, work very nicely. So you can retract and then just lay them out there when you need it. I got these colored clotheslines and the clothespins from Lakeshore Learning, but you can also get them Walmart. You can get the whole set, less than $5. I also use whiteboards, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. I have every pair of kids have one whiteboard and a marker as we do this. I also printed out the tents from clotheslinemath.com. They're already pre-made. So these are the benchmarks. I print these out on white, so when the students want to establish their number line, they just drop them on there. We call them tents because from the side they look just like that. So we print them out, -4 to +4. And then I also have some blanks ready to go with a marker. In case there's any numbers not available, the kids are invited to feel free to write on those. Then I have the sets ready for the numbers I'm going to do that day. This happened to be the ones I introduced the clothesline with. I usually have these all laid out on a table so the kids can see all the numbers a little bit easier, but for your viewing convenience, I have them up here today. So let me share with you how I introduced this. I told the kids, because they were very curious, they thought we were going to be doing laundry. I mean, that's the clothesline. So I told them, no, I'm not putting clean, wet laundry on here. We are going to put numbers. And I introduced them to the idea of the tents, and that these can drop on here, and we can establish a number line any way we like. By the way, I also want to mention the kids also have the worksheet from the website sitting on their desk. But we do that last. We use that to record the results of the discussion and the conversation that's going to ensue in class for this. So I share with them how we're going to form the number line with these benchmarks. I'm going to give them a set of numbers. They don't know yet what they are. And then they are going to write it on their whiteboard. But I'm going to give these numbers to one of the groups. And I have 5 groups of 4. That class is only 20. My Algebra 2 class is almost 40. And I did the same thing. I'll share that number set now that went another time. And so I tell them that one of the groups is going to come up to the board and do this. The reason they're going to do the whiteboards on their desks is because I found out that if you have kids come up here with the number sets, like I do, and I suggest you do too, you'll be surprised the very first time the rich conversation that occurs and how long they're up here trying to figure it out. And when you have a group of freshmen up here, or the rest of the class waiting forever to do that, if they don't have something to do, it tends to come unglued. And I learned that the hard way the very first time I did the clothesline. But we know good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. So I learned from my mistake. And so what I do is when I put them up here, like I'm going to do in this particular one, I told the kids I'd like you to place 1/2, 1/4, and 1/3 on the clothesline. And so I asked them to draw on their boards a number line and properly place those. So what we have going on the desks is 0 to 1. The kids had to draw this, set their own number line, and then hoping that, this is what I was hoping to see, is the kids would put 1/2, 1/4, about half of that, and then 1/3 somewhere in between, hopefully closer to the 1/4 than 1/2. I didn't ask them for any other tick marks. I did suggest that they put the benchmarks below the line and the number sets above the line. And that's because so that they don't get so confusing having everything on one side. They don't do that all correctly right at first, but eventually they get the hang of that. But this is what they're doing and discussing. By the way, as you can imagine, with a bunch of algebra freshmen, this is not what I got with every group. Let me show you what I got. So I asked the first group to come on up. I gave this to them. They looked through and somebody said, interestingly enough, I was anticipating they would say 1, and they said we need, or 0, they said we need a 1. and they dropped a 1 up there. And then somebody said, well, we also need 0, all right? So they put a 0 up there. And then they quickly realized that these 3 numbers were not going to fit. So they looked to me like they needed permission to move them. I said, yeah, once you place them, you may space them. And so then the kids went and I got this, which was the predominant answer in the room. Many of you are anticipating this because you've taught this before. And you see that we end up with 1/2, 1/3, and 1/4 in order because, of course, we count 2, 3, 4. So this is reasonable if you're thinking they need to be in order of the denominator until we have the conversation that this is the number of pieces that we're breaking this whole up into. And if this 1 were broken up into 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, are you telling me this is the largest piece? So we remind them that on a number line, this is more and this is less. Greater than, less than. So if I eat half a pizza, am I eating more than you if you eat only 1/3 of the pizza? Oh, so everybody figures that part out, and they go and they fix. And this is typically what we get now. We're just putting them in order, but at least we have the numerical order correct. 1/4 is smaller than 1/3, smaller than 1/2. So we have the conversation with the kids. Very good. You have done the place. We are going to put the numbers in the correct order. Then we are going to space, which means we have to now set them proportionally, space them out. I give credit for this phrase to Andrew Stadell. Thank him very much for that. But this is what we're doing. We're going to place them and then ask the kids to space them. In other words, is this where 1/2 goes? Is that 1/2 the same size as this 1/2? It has to be proportional. And we have the kids do finger reasoning from their desks. So you guys are going to see how that works. I have them go like this, close an eye. So we're going to go and see if our 1/2 is the same as that 1/2. Oops, no, we have issues going on here. So I need to slide this over. So I'm up here doing this while they're doing it at their desks. And I see that's 1/2, 1/2, good. And then I asked, does any other group want to challenge what's up on the board? And we see that this 1/4, see, isn't quite right. So I've placed it, they're in the right order. I've done the place, now I have to do the space. And then this 1/3, should it be exactly somewhere in between? Now that's a good question to ask. I don't necessarily push that issue right now because this is enough going on for the first day. The number line vehicle, the clothesline vehicle, the number line concept, place and then space, the tense, the conversation with the kids, the boards. So I don't want to get too deep. That will be the conversation of the day when we start putting decimals on the clothesline. Now, if they wanted a little more space, they feel free to spread it out, but then again, they would need to proportionally set that up. Then once we do that, and the kids are showing me their boards, and we're correcting the boards as we go along, once we have everybody in agreement, and we're asking for conversation, we are making viable arguments, constructing viable arguments, and critiquing the reasoning of others. Math practice number 2. Okay? And we do that throughout the class. Once we've settled that this is correct, then we go to the worksheet. We write these 3 here and those 3 blanks that's on that worksheet, and then the kids reproduce this. That was just day 1 the first time, and then next time, as I'll show in another video, we'll show you where it progresses from there, and as we go through the year, how we use this. But this was day 1 of Clothesline Math in Algebra.